Hello, I'm back again with another video, and this time I'm not here with a complete book review, but I'm here to talk about one small concept in one small chapter of this book, Light Upon Light by Noor Fadila Wahid. It's very close to my heart, this book, which you can probably see with the bookmarks. And yeah, let's get started. So, have you all had an experience where you call someone to do good, advise somebody, out of love, and they just don't get it, and you end up in a situation where you feel guilty, not knowing for what, or either you end up in a fight. So something like that is being explained by the author very beautifully and very simply. So I'll try my best to explain what I think about it, or how it has affected me, or how it has become one of the dearest chapters of all the books I've read. So she explains a scenario where a time when she rediscovered her faith and her religion. So she suddenly becomes very God conscious, and it's a spark. Some of us would have experienced that. So she becomes, somebody who corrects everybody around her and calls people to do good, pray more. So she did this with her brothers, and she continuously kept, calling them to do more good stuff, to not to do this. This is not right. This is sinful, and you should behave properly to your neighbors. Some kind of advice and lecturing kept happening in her household. So at this time, she continued this until one day, one of her brothers got really angry at this. He couldn't take it anymore, and they were having a peaceful lunchtime, I guess, when one of her brothers stood up and threw some magazine around, and he snapped at her and said something or shouted something that author says it was too loud or too strange and big for her to register. So she was shocked to see that reaction from her brother. And then what happened is, Cold War in the households, Cold War settled, and they did not look at each other, or they avoided the eye contact. So this continued for a few days. And author says she was actually on her vacation during that time, and that's why she was at home. So she had to return back to her campus. So when she was leaving, she obviously did not say any goodbye to her brother. So they were in that fighting mode. And she was boarding a bus to get back to her campus. So a few hours later, her phone buzzed. And it was her brother saying sorry. It was a very sweet message, and he was apologizing. And she cried. She felt very ashamed that something wrong has happened from her, though she was intending good. And over the next few days, what happened is author and her brother, they started talking and they started exchanging messages. So at this time, she realized, or her brothers said to her, it was very difficult for her brothers and her family to accept this 180-degree change in her. They couldn't take the fact that she has changed so much, and she wants everybody to be changed. And she kept advising. And author says that is a period of time when she realized she should stop preaching and start listening more. And they both exchanged messages, and author says she understood her brother in a very different way now, and understood his problems, and made a good relationship between both of them. So after a period of that, after they both had a great understanding, her brother started questioning things, and her brother started understanding her ideals, and started becoming more forgiving, and accepting what she had to tell, and the advices in the right sense. So I think this is a very important concept, but it's little difficult to explain in that very sense, because this happens in our life in a very different way. And we have all mostly, would have experienced something of this sort. And what the author tries to tell here is, people are all in different stage in their life. Even if it's a person who is inside your house, is your sibling, is your friend who shares everything with you, or walks with you 24/7. still they are in a different journey. Their life is going in a very different tone or very, very different pace than yours. So you cannot, think or impose things that you feel is ideal at this stage of your life. So people are all in a very different journey. And I think this was very sweet way of explaining to keep your limits with yourself, to be non-judgmental all the time, and be more listening than preaching. So that is all about this one chapter of this book. And I'll read a small portion of this book which I really liked. So what we should first do is to love, to build real solid relationships, to make lots of dua, which means prayers, and to always act as the Prophet has told us to. It may take a day, it may take months, it might even take years, but in the end, guidance is from God Almighty, not from you, and definitely not from me. So that was very kind to write about. So that is all about today's video. So stay tuned and stay subscribed, because I'll come with more videos next week, inshallah. Bye. Take care.